Is what I'm getting.
Getting down there. We'll split it up here. One thing. I know. Perfect.
No, and all in line.
Put it down.
Oh, that's right.
Put it down.
Somebody let us know, like, you're not here. Somebody.
Okay. Nice to see you again.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, no, I don't. Okay. Good call. He didn't realize we two jokes. Yes. No. I know. That's a solid joke.
We're starting around 6 o'clock.
Feel bad there weren't more people here laughing. Good. Yeah. Okay. So we can hear you breathing. I know.
Quick microphone information for you. You don't need to be close.
Okay. I just shoot from right above the people.
I shoot for whatever
Okay. Let me ask you one question. Am I walking the bedroom? Am I talking to party microphone? Or is it grab over there? Just stand around. All right.
How much you want to bet with yours?
Say hello. Hello. I won't be as loud to you because it's going that way.
That Chase knows here. I can't believe it.
It was supposed to rain earlier.
Yeah. You started keeping it? You get a picture by yourself smiling. Yeah. Always in the limelight. All the time.
Going live here shortly.
I can never smile. Look at this.
Anybody listening, please get some feedback on sound
I can't smile. I can smile
once they start talking.
John, you live?
Yes.
We can talk about this. How you feel about number 3?
Where?
Ohio State.
Yeah, we did drop. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
You should drop if you want.
Oh yeah. As long as you're in the top,
Texas did horrible things.
as long as you're in the top 12, don't matter.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
You know what
Top
I'm
12.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Nice to meet you, Josh. Hi there. Dave Goodell. Nice to see you. Yes.
Who ordered chicken tenders and fries? Oh, somebody ordered chicken tenders and fries. No, I'll claim it. Welcome everybody. So we are proud to be able to host again. I think last time we did this was in 2016 here at the VFW, our candidate forum. So you get a chance to meet the candidates and see where they stand on some issues. I want to thank the chamber and the people on our committee that took the time and we came up with questions that we felt was pertinent to the community and to our business community to see where our wonderful candidates where they stand on these issues. Our former commissioner, Ms. Jill Luke, is the chair of our government relations committee, so she'll be emceeing tonight. Just a little housekeeping. Through the red door on the left, our restrooms, concessions are open. And Ms. Amber would be wonderful waitress serving you. All the proceeds go to their wonderful charities and maybe even to help trying to replace their roof that's leaking. They got a roof issue. So we would love to try to help them. If anybody has any leads, please, they can use the help. Again, up there on the red table by the front door, there are some question cards that if you want to fill one out and put it in the black box, we will entertain those if appropriate, if we have time. Mr. Lance here will be taking care of the time for the questions for each candidate. And candidates, be ready. He's got his gong here. So the candidates, so you know, he'll do this to give you know you got 30 seconds left. This, stop. If you don't listen to that, you get going. So it's Ms. Amber, you want to come up here and welcome everybody to the VFW? And maybe she'll come and bring her horse out.
Thank you, Bill. I want to welcome everyone here to VFW Post 8203. My name is Amber Putnam. I am the post commander. If there's anything that you need, please let us know. We are very happy to have you here. And although I don't live in town myself, so I can't vote for anybody, I'm anxious to hear what everybody says as well. So thank you for being here tonight.
So again, it's we ask, please, no shouting, please, out in the audience. Let's be respectful tonight to our candidates. We appreciate them taking the time to come out and go through this grueling bombardment of questions. And Ms. Jill here will explain the rules here for everybody. So sit back and enjoy, and hope you enjoy this evening. At 7 o'clock, we will take a 15-minute break so you can take care of yourself if you have to, or whatever, stretch and all that. So, Ms. Jill Luke, former commissioner, it's all yours.
I flew in at noon today in order to be here tonight. My ears are stopped up, so Mr. RJ, let me know if this is coming through or not, because I can't hear. Thank you. I want to start it off by stating that I am the chair for the Government Relations Committee, and is it not? The fourth Thursday of each month, we have a representative from the federal, the state, the county, the city, school board, Sarasota County, and also a department from the city of Northport also come on if they're able to. Sometimes, especially the federal and the state can't. But if you are interested in, thank you, RJ. If you are interested in joining in those committee meetings to listen in, let Bill know. It's Zoom. You don't have to get dressed or even get out of the house. So let Bill know. He'll send you the link to the Zoom and you can join us. We still have 2 more months before the election, so we still have 2 candidates that have not talked. So in September 26th, Mr. Smith will be joining us, and then Mr. Petro in October. So you're more than welcome to join those. Bill forgot to thank you guys. He said, would you thank him? Would you thank him? RJ, thank you very much. John, thank you very much. and same with the press being here too. So thank you so very much for joining us. And everybody else who's come out. It's nice to see a group come in person. It is being put out on the web and on the radio, but it's nice to have you come in person. So thank you very much for taking the effort and the time. All right. Normal questions are 2 minutes long, so they'll have 2 minutes. But we started out with each candidate having 3 minutes, and they will give a personal bio and their qualifications and reasoning for running for commission. We've got them strategically placed because there are 3 seats open for the election. So we have the 2 from District 1 to the right, 2 in the center are District 2, and the 2 to the left are District 3. So you'll be able to hear as they answer the questions. Of course, the questions will rotate so that everybody gets to start one of the questions. So we'll be doing it that way. Father Time, do you want to explain what you're going to do?
This is real simple. I don't need a microphone. So the first round of questions, you get 3 minutes, and you're going to see this thing, compliments of Wendy Nemack. She always had this. She waved it around the room. So basically what you'll see is 30 seconds left before it goes, and then you'll see a stop, and if that doesn't stop you, then you're going to get the gong. And if you get the gong, you're in trouble, because you've got to respect the gong. All right? Other than that, good luck.
Thank you, Father Time.
Let the force be with you.
Exactly. All right, we're going to start with Mr. Petro, Demetrius Petro. Am I saying your last name properly? Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for organizing this forum. Hello, my fellow residents. My name is Demetrius Petro, and I'm running for the District Commissioner in District 1.
He's coming in to turn it up.
Is it on? Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for organizing this forum. My name is Demetrius Petro, and I'm running for the City Commission in District 1. I'm running to be on the commission because I'm passionate about the issues that we face as a city. I'm deeply concerned and care for the future of our city. In my campaign, I didn't make any empty promises, but what I tell people is what I believe in. I strongly believe in accountability, transparency, and efficient spending. My qualifications are as follows. I'm qualified for this position because I'm no different than you or any of you in this room. I'm one of you. I persevered and started in life with nothing. I was born and raised in Estonia at the age of 16. I legally came to the United States with my parents and my siblings. I went through high school having summer jobs and various part-time jobs. Went through college. I obtained my bachelor's degree in accounting and finance. Got married. When we had our first-born son, I had to leave my 9-to-5 job, and I became self-employed in construction remodeling business. So I'm detailed oriented and I'm goal driven. I don't always see the reason I'm running, because I'm passionate, like I said, because I don't always see common sense on the city level. So I want to step in and be a voice for the residents of the people. There's a notion that a lot of people are not being represented by the city, specifically by the commission. So I want to be the voice of that. My position on spending, as it is everybody else in this room or anybody watching online, is very simple. And that's to live within our means. And that's another reason that I'm running, is to cut wasteful spending. For example, my house is paid off, our house is paid off, my wife's car is paid off, my car is paid off. And I want to mimic that approach within the city. We need to plan to balance our growth and that is the key for the prosperity of our city. I believe that we can plan with the residents in tandem as the integral part of our city, and we have to listen to their concern. As your commissioner, I want to improve the quality of life for responsible growth and use of our tax dollars. That's where I come to differentiate myself. I want to represent the residents and be a balance and voice on the commission.
Thank you, sir. All right, next 3 minutes is for Mayor Alice White.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right, and thank you, Mr. Petro, for breaking the ice, so we know what we're to expect up here. Is this my mic? Here we go. Hello, can you hear me now? Okay, yes? All right, how's that? Okay. Well, I was wondering if we had to eat the mic. I guess we do. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. And I have been a resident of Northport for 33 years, but I haven't just lived here. I've been immersed in my community for those 33 years. From the time that I moved here and saw a need for something, I went out and did something. For example, the very first thing that I did was start a welcome wagon, because when I moved here, people lived far apart. I didn't know anything about Northport. So I started a welcome wagon called Welcome to Northport. And I knocked on 50 doors every month with a little bag of goodies from businesses so that they would get to know their neighbors, get to know me, and also learn what was in Northport. Then when my son turned 2 and I realized there was nothing for 2-year-olds in Northport in 1993, that I started a Mom in Need program. So this is an example of how I see a need for something and what I've done in my community for all these years. I also opened up a coffee cafe. Yes, so I learned all about what it is entailed in putting together a commercial kitchen. And I learned it's all about the sinks. Yeah, you have to have a sink for everything. But this gives me a variety of experiences that I've had. So as a commissioner, when we were talking about things, I was able to relate to whatever the issue was. I started, most people know me because of my advocacy with the native tree canopy. I started People for Trees in 1997 and started with 6 people in the library, and we grew from there. And to this day, we put on a major event, the Tree Fair. That is the longest running event in the city of Northport that's been put on by the same group. So I'm really proud to say that. It's great. I tell people it's easy to do something once, but to do it again and again and again, that really takes commitment. So that's just an example of my commitment to the community. I also, through my work with People for Trees, we have the Tour to Northport bicycle ride. A lot of people still think that's a city event, but it's something that we started and we continue to do that. By the way, that's October 20th, in case you want to know where that was. I have served on a variety of boards in the city of Northport, the Beautification and Tree Council. I served on the 40th and 50th anniversary committees. Boy, am I dating myself. I'm actually in the book Out of the Wilderness. I was Northport Green Citizen of the Year, Northport Citizen of the Year, and it's just this wealth of experiences that I bring to the dais, and to me, becoming a commissioner was just a natural segue for what I am, and I consider myself a community advocate first. Thank you.
She did it.
I did it.
All right, next is Commissioner Barbara Langdon. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Great.
And again, thank you all for coming. I'm a relative newcomer to Northport. My late husband and I came here 10 years ago. And when I arrived, I reopened my small business Market Momentum. I provided internet marketing services for small businesses. I also got very embedded in the community. I became a SCORE mentor, for those of you who are familiar with that organization. SCORE provides free business advice for small companies. I was a mentor for Minnesota SCORE. I worked with Sarasota County SCORE. I was a coach for the Goodwill Micro Enterprise Program. I served on CDAP which is the Economic Development Advisory Group for the city of Northport. In the 5 or 6 years that I ran my business, I actually delivered over 200 seminars up and down the southwest coast of Florida, training small businesses on how to use Facebook and email marketing and websites to grow their business. My background, I'm from Boston, and if you doubt that, I want you to know I park my car. So, and I'm a business person. I mean, I have a professional background. I come out of the high-tech industry. I was in marketing and business development. I'm the daughter of a Boston firefighter, great family, not a whole lot of money available for college. And I'm really proud of the fact that I worked my way through, earned a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in city planning, and an MBA. And I paid off all my loans, and I paid them on time. Whoop, whoop. But it wasn't until 2018 when I started helping a friend of mine who was running for Northport City Commission that I really started paying attention at a detailed level to what was going on in the city. And I became really concerned that we were not on the path to future prosperity. And so I decided to run myself. I'm unapologetically a business person. And that's how I approach my role as a city commissioner. I really thought I was pretty prepared to be a city commissioner, but boy, once you get up there and it all starts coming at you, you've got to be quick on your feet, and you've really got to learn quickly and be able to connect the dots very, very quickly. And I feel that I've done that pretty well. I think my time on the commission was the best preparation ever, and there's no gong for me, Lance.
Thank you very much. All right, next is Mr. Joshua Smith. You go by Joshua or Josh?
Josh is fine.
Josh is fine.
Yep.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
All right. Thank everybody for coming out. My name is Josh Smith. I'm 36 years old. I started out as a mechanic and then worked my way into the electrical union. Realized that I enjoyed my hands and working with them far more than I enjoyed standing on ladders. So I got back into being a mechanic. My wife and I are from Michigan. Lived in Toledo for a little while on the south side of the river, if that means anything to anybody. And then we started figuring out where we wanted to land. And luckily, my mother-in-law is a snowbird in Punta Gorda. Sorry if that's a derogatory term to some. That's what they're known as in Michigan. And we started looking in Punta Gorda, and someone explained to us that there was this magical place called Northport. It wasn't found yet. There wasn't a ton of people. The taxes weren't insane. We should give it a try. We absolutely fell in love with the place. We sold everything we had, packed up in a moving truck, and made it down here in 3 months. We have been married since high school. So when my wife said that's where we're going, I packed the truck. That's kind of how that went. We unfortunately do not have any children. We are both extremely career driven. And everyone we know that had kids did a really bad job on selling them. So we just figured the dual income thing was the way we were going to do it. So that's kind of my background as far as how I got here. I have been a manager in several large corporations, mostly garbage companies, as kind of running their maintenance teams. Realized that I kind of enjoyed being by myself, so I convinced a very good friend of mine to start a diesel repair business in South Sarasota County. That's what I do currently, and that's pretty much it as far as my background. The main reason I decided to start paying attention to City Commission, I bought a second lot and was going to build a shop. I restore classic cars. I will give the city credit. They have put up a fantastic fight through the entire building procedure. They're good at it. Kind of figured, man, I should meet some commissioners, figure out what's going on, talk to some friends. They all explained to me they don't listen. I said, you guys are full of it. kind of started going to some commission meetings. Luckily, the first serious one I went to was for the Toledo Blade 320 project. We had a pretty good turnout for it, kind of came up with a lot of good reasons. Commissioners really fought for the reason we were going to do it was because we need 30% commercial. Somehow that thing went a bunch of residential, and it just kind of shocked me that we would make that decision as a city. I'm almost out of time, but other than that, I've just been going to a bunch of meetings and trying to make sure I'm prepared for the job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think you come from my part of Michigan too, if you're trying to sell off the kids. All right, next, Mr. David Duval. You pronounce your name correct, Duval?
Correct, Duval.
3 minutes, sir.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is David Duval. I was born and raised in Vermont. My working life, I was a nuclear instrumentation and control supervisor and trainer in nuclear power plants in New York and Lake Ontario. I retired in 2005. I'm surprised to hear Josh say he's 36. I'm more than twice as old as you are. And it's still better looking. April 21st of 2008, I was retired. I looked out my back window, the snow was above my knees. I called the real estate dealer and said, I'm coming down, this was Sarasota, I said, I'm coming down to buy a house. And I did. In 2010, I walked into a bank and I met a lady. I was trying to open a checking account, and in 2 weeks, we'll have our 10th wedding anniversary. My wife, Stephanie, there. As far as my biography, when I got out of high school, I joined the United States Marines. Within 6 months, I was in a war. When I came home from the Marines, I was 20 years old, and I was not old enough to vote. The amendment to the Constitution was not passed until 1971. This was 1969 when I came home. That stuck with me. Okay, so I've always been interested in civics. Now, when I got to Northport, I've been kind of active in things. I've done work for Alice White, People for Trees. I'll be manning a station on October 20th, which will be my birthday, at the Tour de Northport. I've been active with Northport Friends of Wildlife. I've been on various cleanups of our creeks, our Oaks Park. I've located over 50 gopher tortoise mounds for the GIS mapping for the city. I've been pretty active since I've been here. And I've also gone to a lot of city meetings. I was on our charter review board for 4 years. I was chairperson there. I even recruited my opponent here to be on the board with me. We were short of members. City of Northport means a lot to me. I'm just the kind of person that does things, okay? This morning, I was out sweeping the road from dirt. They're building a house across from me, and a guy who was changing out the dumpsters, he scraped dirt into the road, and he had a 2x4 trying to push it out. I didn't complain. I went out with a broom and helped him move it. That's who I am.
Thank you very much, David. We are on to Mr. Andrew Sias. Is this mic? No. No, it's still not. Okay. Mr. Andrew Sias, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I hope this is loud enough. I moved down here the year before Charlie. And what I say is, everything before that is in my rearview mirror because Northport became my home. The only thing I look back at from where I was is that I met Holly in Maryland, my wife. Other than that, everything is here. I moved here to be close to my parents, who happen to be in Punta Gorda. And this is where my life's blood is. Why am I running? I think I bring a unique perspective. I am all about relationship building. I'm going door to door right now through Northport. I'm meeting people for coffee. You can invite your friends and neighbors. I always go by the line, God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I try to listen more. I'm reaching out to try to build a one-on-one relationship, whether here at this one-on-one here, through the media, or going door to door, and I will continue that. But I also think we have to build relationships with business leaders. We have to attract better jobs to Northport. One of the key things that's making me run, they say we have an affordable housing crisis. I disagree. We have an affordable job crisis. We have to attract jobs here so people can afford their homes. And we have to attract that type of business to us and not inflict on our local residents. The other relationship we have to build is with our political leaders. I have done that. One of the things that I always look at, you don't ask for help unless you build the relationship first. I didn't marry Holly until she knew who I was. Well, that was very quick. Yes, 9 days. But she knew who I was because we actually knew each other for about almost a year because where I worked. However, I've built those relationships. I know James Buchanan, I've helped him, our state representative. I know Ron Kussinger. I asked the question, and Greg Stubbe recognized me by name, our congressman. And that's where Northport is lacking. We have to get what we deserve. We are the largest growing city at one point in the United States. We are the largest city in Sarasota, and we should get that respect. When we have projects, we should seek out that help so it doesn't fall on our taxpayers. We have to reach out and build relationships. We can't just go to when Congress is in session or up to Tallahassee when they're in session, because visiting a member of the House of Representatives like Stubbe when Congress is in session, it's like visiting your doctor while he's in surgery. They don't have the time. I want those relationships so that I can get things done for Northport. Thank you all for coming here. I appreciate this. You're taking your time out. I thank all the candidates here, because if anybody's run, you know that this is a tough job. Thank you.
Just in the nick of time.
I've always wanted to be Gong. I used to watch the Gong Show.
You can do it. All right, now, we're switching now. It's no longer 3 minutes. You're going to have 2 minutes. Each of the questions, even though it might sound like it's going to be a short yes or no, there's going to be a why that's going to follow it. So you're going to have to explain the answer, such as this first one. Mr. Sias, we're going to start with you, and then we'll go back down to the front of the table and work our way down again. First is last. So, question number 1. Do you support the charter referendum for the city to acquire borrowing authority without voter approval, and why?
I'd like to go more into depth to that. They've added very serious bumpers on that charter amendment. It's not to just borrow money. It is for emergencies like Ian or health reasons. It is very limited. Northport is the only city in Florida that cannot borrow. When Ian hit us, it depleted all our emergency funds. Emergency funds are there for emergencies like Ian. But in the past, when the, 2004, when the market hit and everything dropped, property values dropped, the city used the emergency funds to keep our fire and police going without layoffs. They had freezes on other areas. We do not have that funding right now. If another Ian hit, we are in desperate need. If an economic turn, we are in desperate need. It takes about 4 years to restore them. So in that case, with those limited buffers on it, I am in favor of it.
Thank you, sir. We are on to Mr. Petro. Would you like me to repeat the question? Sure. Do you support the charter referendum for the city to acquire borrowing authority without voter approval, and why?
I do not support the specific phrasing of that question, the referendum question. And there are several reasons why I do not support. The first reason is it's per project, and it does not involve just emergencies. It involves and can be done for any capital project. So guess what? The recent zoning change on any of those Chamberlain, Cranberry, or Salford wouldn't have an infrastructure, but we changed the zoning. So the city can come and say, guess what? We have to borrow the money to put the infrastructure there. And it's per project, which means they can subdivide into sub-projects and can be unlimited amount of borrowing. Another reason that I do not support that is it can be adjusted to this ENR index and not CPI index. As for example, Sarasota County, they have adjustment tied to that CPI index, Consumer Confidence and CPI index, Consumer Price Index, I'm sorry. So that's another reason. And ENR can be established, or it's regional. So the city can say, oh, this region or that region. So it's very volatile index, and it's based on specifically on construction. And construction materials can go up and down, not related to the economy. So there are several issues with that referendum question. But I do support emergency funding, and if it would be just for the emergency funding, I would support.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mayor White, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I got it. Thank you. I do support the charter referendum to allow the city to borrow. And why is because we have a lot of needs that have to be met. I know one of the hot topics that we hear a lot is the lack of infrastructure. Well, there's, other than raising taxes, there is no other way to provide for that infrastructure. We have water control structures and we have bridges that are as old as the city is being incorporated, 65 years old. And to wait for them to fail before we do something, to me, is not the way to manage a city. And we, as it's been mentioned, we're the only municipality in the entire state of Florida, and that includes counties, that does not have the ability to borrow. And that should say something to people that, because I was actually surprised when I learned that. I just thought we chose not to utilize it, but that we can't. So this is one way to get it done. And the county actually has an entire book. If you haven't seen this, it's available, an entire book of their debt. All right, and you read it, and it shows all the bonds they have taken out for their various projects. That's how they get things done, and we deserve to have the same ability. We're at 90,000. We're supposed to be a build out at 250,000 people. It really doesn't make sense to think that we're going to provide for the people of today and in the future without having the ability to have more leverage with the money that we have coming in, and to borrow money in order to do that. So I'm definitely in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We are on to Commissioner Langdon. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I have it, Jill. Thank you. I also support the referendum for a number of reasons. One is we have created and published a very robust debt policy that describes how we will manage that responsibility. The charter change and the referendum language have clear guardrails in terms of what kinds of projects we can borrow for and at what level we can borrow, how much money we can borrow, and that policy is very conservative. One of the unintended consequences of a pay-as-you-go model, which is how we have been operating as a city, is by the time we save up the money for something, it has become so expensive. And I think the widening of price is a great example of that. In addition, the state often offers zero interest loans. Some of their programs will forgive some of the principal of that loan, and we've not been able to take advantage of that kind of thing for our residents, to do things in a more affordable way. And I would just ask you, for those of you who own your own home, if you had to save up the cost of your home before you bought it, I know what that would have done to me. I'd still be saving for my first home because costs of things escalate so quickly. And so not being able to borrow in important, vital situations has really hurt our ability to take care of business in a good way and ensure the safety of our residents.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Smith, would you like the question repeated?
No, I got it. Yes, I'm for it. We are the city of Northport. Unfortunately, I wish it was the township of Northport. I wish we weren't growing. I wish we didn't have that future. The main reason I'm for it is because it is for non-ad valorem tax money. So it is only going to be used on what Mr. Stokes calls the buckets. It's all of the departments. That's the money that's going to be used. There are such guardrails in place, and I'm really hoping after today's meeting, we actually get those put in the wording of the debt policy. So that way we can lock it in to make sure that we have done the right things for citizens. It's the next step. It's what needs to happen. It's the only way we can financially keep ourselves alive. I know that we have the right to vote, or we have the right to borrow by coming to the citizens through referendums. Unfortunately, then it's just a giant list of projects, and once that money's spent and you've allowed them to have that money, it would not go against the debt policy. So once you say okay, they can just keep coming to you and asking for more. Whereas if we get the right wording in this debt policy, it locks them into a total amount. It really makes sure that we keep a conservative view on our spending. I know allowing the government to spend money right now sounds scary. I also wish it didn't have to happen. Unfortunately, as a city, we have to do something to help ourselves, and that's why I'm for it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Duval, would you like to repeat?
I am not for this referendum, and I'll tell you why. I propose that the city have a special election soon with another referendum, actually two referendums. One to say that the city can borrow money for emergencies, period. The second referendum will say that the city can borrow money for whatever they want, decided by the city commissioners. And this wording, it's important, will be in the charter. The limits will be established metrics that the city commission talked about today at a workshop. Metrics such as total borrowing, a certain percentage of per capita income in the city, certain percentage of total gross revenues, okay? Those are clear, definite metrics. And if they're in the charter, they cannot be changed easily. If it's just a debt management policy, that's a policy. And as the commission changes, attitudes can change. And you never know what they're going to be borrowing money for or what the limits are going to be, how far our citizens will be in debt. And we do need to borrow money. A number of people have already mentioned infrastructure is the main thing that we need here, okay? And as my opponent already said, we've got to get to the legislature, to the state, to the federal. The main thing that's going to help us a lot is going to get that Yorkshire exit. And I know that's at least 10 years down the road, but the more pressure we put on and the quicker we get it done, the better. So.
All right, thank you, sir. And we're going to start with you again, Mr. Duval. Question number 2. Define your role as a city commissioner with the city of Northport. Would you like me to repeat it again?
No.
All right, you have 2 minutes, sir.
My role would to be on the dais and look out at the citizens and tell them exactly how I see things, okay? I'm finding that we don't always have a lot of transparency. Considering this referendum, they'll tell us, they'll say, oh, this is going to be paid for by other revenues other than property taxes. Well, what other revenues? Okay, I got my tax bill recently. My tax bill said that my cost for my solid waste is going up. Well, the city does a great job of picking up our solid waste. And I've got no complaints about them increasing that fee as costs go up. But you know what I found out? That increase in fee, the solid waste isn't going to get to keep it. It's going in the general fund for other things. And I find that that's a little bit shady. Okay? Why not be transparent and tell the citizens where things are? There's another thing that I've argued about and against, and that's your electric utility. When I moved here, it was 2% on your electric bill. 2 years ago, it was raised to 6%, last year to 10%. And that's beside a franchise fee that the city gets. Altogether, the city's getting somewhere between 13 and 15% added to your electric bill. Now, for somebody who's on a limited income or somebody who's a young family, that's a regressive tax. It affects them the most, and they're the ones that can afford it the least. And I'd like to see transparency with that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sias, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, this is fine. As a commissioner, as I state, it's about building relationships. And whether it's with the business or the political community, you have to reach out. And my apologies, I'm going to criticize you on one thing. You say we have to reach out to our state representatives or state senators. Joe Gruters is the Trump chairman. On your Facebook page, you called them cult followers. I would ask you to take that down because you're going to have to deal with these people to get funds from Northport. As a role model for the city, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, or a Martian. If you help the city of Northport, I'm going to reach out to you. My role as a commissioner is also to reach out to you, the public, to listen and get feedback. Because I don't know all the answers. It's to listen to our business community, our other leaders, and ask as an ambassador to the city to get businesses here and to get what we deserve for Northport.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to Mr. Petro. Would you like me to repeat the question? Define your role as a city commissioner within the city of Northport. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Yes, my role as a city commissioner, if elected, would be a check and balances on the city commission, to be a voice, to be a common sense voice, to be a voice for the residents. Going to the meetings and watching them online, it is evident that there is presence of people that is the people that are present or watch online, they don't feel represented. So a lot of it is, we do our way or no way attitude, and I want to change that. I want to work effectively with fellow commissioners and establish effective channels of communication between the citizens and the commission, and work effectively with the city staff and the city manager. Going back to the debt policy, I would like to have a strict policy on spending, to be conservative on spending. I know we are a young city and we're still growing, but the debt policy can be changed within 2 meetings and with the majority of votes. So the debt policy, to say that the debt policy protects the borrowing is not really true. And the question itself was misleading. So I want to be very transparent, to be on the commission as a voice for the people. I want to represent not just people, but to be transparent, accountable, and work for the betterment of our city. Not just for the term where I'm there, but for the long term once I'm gone from the commission. So that's my role to be.
Thank you, sir. Mayor White, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm.
There we go.
Yeah.
Steal that mic.
I forgot to move this over. Yes, I think I'm good. Yes, good question. In this country, we have a representative form of government that you elect people on any level to represent what's best for the people as a whole. And I truly believe in that that's what we are elected to do, to represent what is the best interest for everyone involved. And that includes the people who don't come to those meetings, that don't ever send an email. Even looking here, there's people that aren't here, obviously, but they still need to be represented. And that's what I see my role as, making those decisions that may be difficult and uncomfortable, but and unpopular, but they still need to be made. And again, as someone who, as I said in the beginning, I've been involved in my community for 33 years. I know the results of commissions not wanting to tackle those uncomfortable, unpopular issues such as the ULDC, the rezoning. It was just always pushed aside because, yes, it was going to be contentious, which it was. Same thing with Price Boulevard. I remember going to all those meetings about pick the design you want. This is what we did. The commission approved it. No method to fund it at all because that was an uncomfortable situation, conversation to have. Warm Middle Springs, there's another example. Went through the charrettes. We had a plan, 2019, not we, but the commission adopted a plan, no method to fund it. Because again, that would have been uncomfortable conversation. So I see my role, almost like my role as a parent, and I forgot to mention that. I am my son's mom, first and foremost, all right? I don't want to get back to him that thanks, Mom, for remembering me. But, I did things as a parent that he said, he didn't like. And he said, you embarrassed me. And I said, good. That means I'm doing my job, okay? And if those of you that are parents know what I'm talking about. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Langdon, would you like me to repeat the question?
I've got it, Jill. And I have to tell you, that's a really interesting question. Because I had that conversation with myself before I ran. What kind of commissioner did I want to be? And what was important to me was that I figure out how to represent everyone in the city. And I was particularly interested or concerned about getting the point of view of people who don't necessarily come at things the way I do. And I'll never forget, because the very first person I called on was this woman to my left. I'm a smart growth, economic development person. I think it's vitally important that we bring jobs and economic well-being to the residents of this city. And the people I tend to hang with sort of are those kinds of people. I knew our tree lady maybe didn't come at things the same way I did. And I'll never forget, she was baking pies and we had a 2-hour conversation over coffee in her kitchen. And I proceeded to do that with a number of different groups in the city. Because I think it's vitally important as commissioners that we first and foremost take every effort to do the best job we can for the most people who live here with an eye to the future. And sometimes the decisions we make today are really difficult decisions and painful for those of us who are here now. But they put us in position for future benefit and future wealth and prosperity for this community. No gong for me.
And we're on to Mr. Smith. Would you like me to repeat the question, sir? Thank you.
I was at the city one day and I saw this amazing flow chart. And it shows the citizens up top, and then it shows city commission, and then it shows city manager and his staff, and then city staff. And I thought to myself, I've been to a couple meetings, it doesn't at all go that way. I want you guys to understand that I don't want to be a politician. I just want to be your employee. I want to remember that that flow chart is how this city was set up and should run. I want you guys to have somebody that you can go to who's willing to take the time to educate on what he can. I want to make sure that we as a commission keep you guys at the top of that flow chart. Recently, I watched a meeting where we kind of got strong-armed by somebody because we were arguing over open space. We are always leaving it up to staff being the people who know more. And somehow staff came out and said, this is the number, and someone else kind of strong-armed us into a less number than that. We need a commission that remembers what you guys want. This is an open space type of community. We need to remember that if the answer is a developer's representative comes in and can strong-arm us over open space, they'll strong-arm us over anything. That's my goal. I just want to be your employee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don't sit back too far because you get the first question.
All right.
Question number 3, it's a doozy. What is your vision of Warm Mineral Springs?
It's not a doozy. Warm Mineral Springs is our natural beauty. It's what we have as a city. And I'm not talking about just the springs. I'm talking about the entire 82 acres. It is what we have, folks. We don't have a beach. We don't have beautiful places down near the water. That's what we have. That's what we're known for worldwide. Hopefully, coming up in a meeting, we're going to have a conversation about the entire acreage going into a conservation easement. People continue to try to find ways to put commercial on that property. The answer is run stuff up Ortiz and do it next to it. Do it around it. Do whatever you have to do to protect our natural habitats. We are going to run out of them. I am not a business person, but I do believe we need to grow. If we're going to grow, we do not want to look back 50 years from now and explain to our grandchildren, not my grandchildren, but somebody's, I'm so sorry you don't get to go down and enjoy the Myakkahatchee Creek like I got to when I was younger. I'm very sorry that Warm Mineral Springs is now someplace where you get to go and look at hotels and some vision of a way to make money out there. There needs to be a protected environmental place in this city, and that is it. That is my vision of Warm Mineral Springs. Please help us protect it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Duval, do you want me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am.
All right, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
What Josh just said.
No, it's not that easy.
What Josh just said. Okay? And as far as the Conservancy, okay, I've recently heard some news that in some places they're trying to lift some of the limits on those conservancies, change things. So if we get that in, to preserve the whole 82 acres, I want to make sure that we do it so that it stays that way. Okay? There's an old saying, you know, buy waterfront because they're not going to make any more. Well, they're not going to make any more Mineral Springs. Okay? And I will disagree with Josh on one thing, you know, about not having the beaches and things. I've been on cleanups, you know, at different parks and kayaking. I've cleaned brush up, you know, I brought my own saw to clean brush out of some of the creeks and things, okay? We do have some beautiful trails. Connections to the Legacy Trail, you know, bike trails. We do have a lot of beautiful things here. That's all I've got to say about that other than what Josh said.
All right, ditto. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sias? Mr. Sias, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I've got it. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Okay. Warm Mineral Springs, you have to focus. And I always heard of Commissioner Winston, do your homework. But the cyclorama is a treasure. I've actually been, there's only 3, I believe, in the United States. I've been to 2. One at Atlanta at the battlefield and one's at the Gettysburg National Park. That is something I know the city's reached out to Ringling Museum to restore it. But those buildings were built as temporary buildings way back when. It's going to take a lot of money to restore them and to make them safe for future hurricanes. I know you spoke to me about building something that would prevent flooding, lack of a better word, like almost like a dike, but like they have in Holland. But we have to reach out and look at the springs as a tourist attraction, but in different ways. For example, the springs and Little Salt Springs were burial grounds. We could create a museum there that looks at the Native American history, archaeology, and schools would come to it. It also would draw tourists. We have the Atlanta Braves, the Braves, in Northport. People who come down to see the Braves would go over to this museum, especially if we reached out to the Seminole Nation, maybe to have a festival there. They would come and bring more traffic to Northport. The last thing I always say when I have plans, I have an achievable plan, I have a reach plan, and I have a Hail Mary plan. My Hail Mary plan, since this was something with Native American history, reach out to the Seminoles. Maybe they have some money that could incorporate into this to a museum for Native American history. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Penfro, would you like me to repeat the question? No. Thank you, sir. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, I knew this question would come up, so I wrote it down. Nobody told me, but I knew. I believe that the Warm Minnow Springs is an amazing resource that the city has. I believe that the city has done a poor job taking care of it and promoting it. At the same time, the 2019 master plan was the plan that the majority of residents were behind it, and the city didn't listen to them. And it's a good example of how the commission really did a poor job communicating and listening to the people. I perceive the Warm Minnow Springs as a park with a nature-based recreation that should pay for itself. It is amazing cultural and touristic asset. It's outstanding resource, and we have to protect it. With that being said, my mission statement is simple: to enhance the quality of life for all Northport residents, and that means we have to protect not just that resource, but we have to protect the unique fabric environment of our community. And after all, I guess all of us, or majority of us, moved here for that reason, that the Northport is a unique place, and we have to protect that. And we, as a resident of Northport, of the last 5 years, almost 5 years, I see a drastic change. And I'm not against development. I myself I'm a holder of state certified building contractor, and I work in construction and remodeling. But I'm for development, but I'm for sensible development. And that being said, we have to protect not just that historic asset, but our community as well, and respect the people's privacy. So that would be it.
Thank you, sir. Mayor White, would you like me to?
Before we answer, I would like some perspective from you, Jill. I was comfortable answering the referendum question because we had a public meeting this morning, and I pretty much reiterated what I said there. We have a voting meeting tomorrow on Warm Mineral Springs, and I'm really concerned about sunshine violations. If I talk about my vision for the springs and what I'd like to see. So for me, I'll decline answering that question. I'd be happy after this meeting, one-on-one with folks. I'd be delighted to share with you what I would like to see. I'm just uncomfortable
because you have a meeting that's set at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Right.
I am going to respect that. Mayor White, are you the same?
No, I think I can skirt.
Okay. Commissioner Langdon, I appreciate your dissension from that, and I understand why you're doing so. Skirt away.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll get a little nudge if I go over there. Okay, but the one thing I learned about this whole process, and it's conversations again that had to be had to be made about Warm Meadow Springs. And when I said before about unpopular, contentious issues, that's what this was. But that's the only way you're going to figure out what's the pathway. You know, we pursued the 3P, didn't work out because the applicant said the numbers weren't going to work. What that told me was it was going to be a financial burden or not going to make it financially. And I thought, well, why would we want to put that on the backs of our taxpayers then? That's what that told me about that. But what I also learned about, in general, with this whole process and talking with people, is that people just want to swim in that lake. They just want to go in the waters. And this whole grandiose plan that we had for everything else, I can understand why they didn't want that, because they would just wanted to swim in that lake. And just, you know, for history, again, for people who don't know, you know, in 2010 is, I believe, is when the county and the city acquired it. Prior to that, that land had to be annexed into the city of Northport. And I remember, again, that issue, very contentious. I actually hosted a Muskogee elder at my house. Somebody went to get him because he wanted to speak out against the annexation of that property. And so he came to my house for chicken and rice until we went to the meeting. But I've been involved with that whole issue for a very, very long time. So there's my time there. So again, I just learned what people really want to see there through this whole issue.
You're a good skirter.
Yes, she
I'm
is. Good,
not a
very
good
good.
skirter.
Okay.
You're not.
So you're not going to drop a dime on me, right? Okay.
All right, it is just about 7 o'clock. Bill had said 15-minute break. I'm going to cut it down to 10. We've only got through 3 questions. I have 10, but we're stopping at 8 o'clock. But I've got 10 questions. So would you like to take that 10-minute break now, or do you want to go through question 4? One more. Are you ready for question 4 then?
You guys need a break or you
I'm
good?
good. I'm
Does
good.
the audience need a break?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, man, we've been really bad. We're wearing them down.
They know where the restroom's at. Okay, we are going to start with Commissioner Langdon. Can't get out of it that easy. All right, do you support a new police station? And if so, how would you fund it?
That's another really good question, is it not?
Are you going to skirt it?
I'm not going to skirt it. I'll pretty much repeat what I have said in other public forums. We ran out of space years ago. And if you go by that building, you will literally see arms and legs sticking out the windows. We looked at a variety of alternatives. Building up, too costly. We do not have the space to build out. It will require a new location. In some of our initial conversations, we were able to identify, if memory serves me, about $75 million, maybe 80 close, without borrowing. So I have been a proponent, I'm a huge proponent of building a new headquarters for our police. I think to make it more affordable, the 2 plans that we really considered as a commission, one was $122 million with 40 years of growth sort of built into it. The second was $100 million with 25 years of growth. So again, I do tend to be a financial conservative. I thought that building for 25 years of growth was adequate and got us a lot closer to being able to build that facility without incurring any or significant debt.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, would you like me to repeat the question?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, 2 minutes.
I am for a new police station, but it needs to be at a number that doesn't make people in the room cough when they hear it. They said $122 million. I was at that meeting. I watched everyone look around at each other like that's not a real number. It was. There is a number out there. I think it's less than 100 that we would be able to convince citizens it's worth spending the money on. Luckily, our police are needed and they carry a lot of gravitas. And with that, we're probably going to be able to get them funded. My issue is, it's always my issue with the city of Northport. We do a horrible job of explaining anything to our citizens. In that meeting, they explained to me that, well, they explained to everybody, that if we build this police station, that opens up the other building. We can then move, I believe it's all of Public Works or building, or I don't know, I'm gonna get it wrong here, but we can move them over into that building. And then we don't have to expand City Hall or build another building for that. That was gonna save us $40 million was the number I believe they said. They do absolutely nothing to inform us of the things that they want. If they would have led with $122 million is the Hail Mary, as Syaz says, but there's this $100 million option that you're also probably not gonna like, but we've got an $80 million option. With that $80 million option, we're going to move some things around and save you $40 million down the road. That's probably something that is easier to handle from a citizen's standpoint. So yes, I'm for the police station. I just really hope we as a city can find a way to do it that doesn't make citizens upset. And hopefully we can continue to inform you guys about decisions better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Duval, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, 2 minutes.
I support a new police station. Like Josh said, $122 million, that opens your eyes. I think we can come in with a dollar amount that's a little less than that. Going back to the referendum, okay? If we turn down this referendum and come out, like I suggested, with another referendum, one for emergencies, and then that second referendum at the same time for everything else, with those metrics guiding us. You can only spend a certain amount of your revenue, a certain amount of per capita income. Once those are in place and locked in place, now you prioritize, okay? And you differentiate between wants and needs. And you place where you can put that police station cost, okay? Now, I have another little idea, okay? It won't pay for a whole lot of it. It might pay for some of it. I think all our city buildings that have roofs and have lawns should have solar on them, okay? So that we're reducing the cost that the city's paying for our electricity, saving some taxpayer money that maybe could be used for things like a police station or the roads and drainage, things that we need. But I do support that police station.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Syaz, would you like me to repeat the
No.
question? Okay.
But thank
2
you.
minutes.
Probably going with everybody else, I'd have the phrase, I understand the need, I didn't like the cost. Yes, we don't explain things correctly to our citizens. One of the things that shocked me was not only is it the office space that is having problems, but according to state law, we have to preserve evidence for 100 years in a capital offense. We've had 4 major murders that made national headlines, from the Hog Trail killer, who was a serial killer in the 90s, to current things. But I'm going to point out one, Denise Amber Lee, who was abducted and violently murdered. Her car is being preserved by law because it's evidence. If we don't have places to secure the evidence and preserve it, if somebody challenges that in court and appeals, like everybody on death row does, they'll be let go because the chain of evidence hasn't been preserved. So it is a need beyond office space, but I also didn't like where they were choosing. I know it's centrally located on Toledo Blade, but going, I think you brought up about commercial space going to residential, that was a prime corporate area. And I would have liked to have seen it elsewhere, but I think that's gone beyond the bridge. But we have to look out to preserve all our needs, but fire, police have my back because they keep us safe.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Petrov,
Yes,
would you like the question repeated?
no, I got it.
2 minutes, sir.
I believe the law enforcement is vital to the health of our community, and as our city grows, the needs of the city grow along with the growth of the city. So the services have to be reflected with the needs of the people in our city. I am for a police station, for a new building for the police station. The question is how we do this. It's just, to me, being in construction industry, I believe that $1,500 per square foot is a bit too high. And I think we can do better than that. So we have some savings in the city. As Barbara said, we have about up to 80 million. We can start in stages, but we certainly have to come down from that proposed number because it is unrealistic and it is more than that we need. It's more of a want. We don't need a beautiful glass windows spanning from several floors down. So we have to be fiscally responsible with our funds when building that station. Several other ways to fund the police station would be use that savings, build in stages so that the majority of the construction can be done in the first stage and that our police force can move in one location. The city can also ask the voters to borrow interest loans, and that where we come back to this referendum question. I'm for low interest loans that would be specifically designed for the city and have the city ability to borrow money. So we can do that as well. And that's it. I mean, I support the police and I support this new police station.
Thank you, sir. Mayor White, you're the last one on this question.
Okay,
You have
I'm
2 minutes.
cleanup crew, okay. Yes, I am in full support of a new police station. You know, the one that we have now that was passed through a bond. I think it was in 2006 along with the new building for City Hall. Can you imagine if we didn't do that back then, where we would be? And also when I was looking for a place to live, when I first moved to Sarasota County in 90, I came to Northport in 91. It was really important that I lived somewhere that had its own police and fire department. I just really, really felt the need for that. So I totally support the need for a new police station, and our safety has to come first. And also I have all these little expressions that I believe in, like penny wise and pound foolish. I mean, if that's what they need, that's what they need. And we're going to a build out of 250,000 people. We have to be thinking along those ways. And I know that's going to come back to us, how to fund it. And that's really all I have to say about that. But I'm definitely in support of what we have to do in order to provide for the safety and needs of our residents.
Okay, thank you. We are going to take a 10-minute break, so we'll come back at 20 after 7. Thank you, everybody.
And I'm going to go off of live and come back. So please take a 10-minute break while I recharge a little bit and then come back live. Thank you, listeners.